Welcome to the Coming Home Well podcast, the show that educates, supports, and advocates for the veteran community. Your host, Dr. Tyler Piron, U.S. Army retired, will bring you exciting conversations with amazing guests about resources, research, and military history, all geared to helping our warriors to come home well. Here's your host, Dr. Tyler Piron.
Welcome back to Coming Home Well. I'm your host, Tyler Piron, and today we're going to talk about something that I really like. I really care about this. It's guitars. I learned to play a few years ago. I'm not very good, but I have a lot of fun trying. And I've learned what I don't know, and I've learned a lot of things that make counterintuitive sense once you figure it out. But at the time, it didn't make a lot of sense. Like, I thought learning all the chords and stuff would be the hard part. I found that that's actually the easy part. The strumming part, while you're doing that, is the hard part. But anyway, we're going to talk about guitars, and we're going to talk specifically about an organization called Guitars for Vets. To help us understand what they do and how they do it, we have Peg Andrae, is very involved with the organization, has been for, nearly 15 years now. Peg, thank you so much for joining us on Coming Home Well.
Well, thank you, Tyler. I appreciate being able to join you for the podcast. Thank you.
So what is the 50-cent explanation of Guitars for Vets?
Oh my gosh. We are a nonprofit national organization, and our mission is to bring the healing power of music to our veterans who are struggling with symptoms of PTSD. They might have traumatic brain injury or some kind of physical limitation. And we offer a program of 10 free guitar lessons. We pair each student with an instructor. We have wonderful instructors. So they meet for an hour a week and do a guitar lesson over a 10-week period. And then at the end, when the student graduates, we provide them with a brand new acoustic guitar, gig bag, and accessories. And
That's
then we
pretty
also,
darn cool.
Most of the chapters also continue with some, we'll say, graduate lessons or continuing education.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be a group setting, doing group lessons, maybe every week or every other week. And then other chapters might do a monthly jam where everybody gets together and they share music and just spend an hour or two playing with each other.
Like a little jam session.
Like
almost.
a jam session, exactly. Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome. So how long has Guitar for Vets been around?
It began in 2007 in Milwaukee. Patrick Nettesheim, who at that time, well, he still is, quite the guitarist, and he's in a band, he's a rocker, and he was giving guitar lessons at that time too. And there was a Vietnam veteran, Dan Van Buskirk, who wanted to learn how to play guitar. I think he was also struggling with PTSD and was looking for a way to help manage or just feel better, have a new activity, something new to focus on.
Mm-hmm.
And he went into this music store to look at guitars and ask about them. And then was introduced to Patrick, and they started doing guitar lessons together. And over a period of time, Dan did quite well, and he learned how to play. And he and Patrick thought, we've got a good thing going here. I wonder if maybe we could go to our local VA medical center and talk to some of the medical staff there, the therapists, and see if we could bring music to the veterans who are inpatient. And so they did exactly that.
Oh, that's
and they
awesome.
found that when they were with these veterans, they're playing music, strumming, sometimes letting the veteran hold the guitar, and they just saw a change in their demeanor, more of a lightness and smiles. And Patrick and Dan thought, there's something happening here with this music. Maybe we could do more with it. So those were the seeds of the organization, and it has just grown.
What happenstance.
Yeah.
So many of these great things happen from these sort of just happenstance meetings. And
yeah, let's just try this out and see how it goes. So,
yeah, these great
you don't
ideas.
know if you don't try.
So let's talk about who is the audience for this. Obviously you've got people with PTSD and TBIs, but I'm sure that is broader than that. but also a lot of people I bet would be interested. So there's got to be some sort of a criteria that you use.
There is. Most of our chapters are affiliated with the VA Medical Center or a Veterans Center, and
Hmm.
that was our original model until COVID hit and everything shut down. And then in that time frame, we needed to regroup and think about a way to keep the program and the lessons going. So our cyber chapter was developed, virtual lessons. Um, Post COVID, we started looking at other opportunities. There were so many inquiries from other people who were interested in starting a chapter in their locality. Maybe they weren't close to a VA medical center or a vet center, but they wanted some way to be able to provide the lessons. So
Hmm.
um, through discussions that the leadership team had with VFW, we formed a partnership and they have an MOU with us. So we have a number of newer chapters who are affiliated with, or they give their lessons at the VFW Hall, maybe American Legion.
Hmm.
So there is another process for bringing interested veterans on board with those chapters. Again, our mission is to help those veterans who are struggling with symptoms of PTSD or anxiety, traumatic brain injury. Um, the referrals come from the VA Medical Center or the Vet Center for those chapters affiliated with them.
Hmm.
And then for VFW or some of the other lesson locations, we do have an application and we do need a referral from either a medical care provider, it could be a social worker. Not every veteran necessarily goes to the VA or to a vet center, but they might be working with a social worker, at another facility. So we need some kind of referral from them saying that they feel that our program would be a good fit for this veteran.
Okay, so if I was
Mhm.
out there, like my local chapter is at the American Legion, it's not too far, but if I had to drive to Richmond, which would be like an hour and a half drive each way, that
Yeah.
wouldn't work. So if I was out here and I was just interested, I have a TBI or a PTSD,
Mhm.
I'd go where to find out more.
We have a wonderful website with so much information. It is www.guitarsforvets.org.
Hmm.
For could be spelled out FOR or the numeral 4, but guitarsforvets.org. And one of the tabs at the top is Find a Chapter Near You. And if you press that, it will open up a map and also a lengthy list of all of our existing chapters.
Okay.
And you find the city that you're closest to, and you'll see the name of the chapter coordinator and their email address. Excuse me. Um, we also have the cyber chapter, as I said, and there's a lot of information about the cyber chapter as well on the
Hmm.
website. And there is an enrollment period, and I believe it's the first of the month. I'd have to check with Paul Lilly, who is the coordinator of the cyber
And
program.
you could go online and check
You
that
could
out.
find it.
It'd be right
Absolutely.
there. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all right there.
So you just go online, find out, hey, where's the local one, and just reach out and say,
Yes.
if you're not affiliated with the VA or so there's a
Or
lot of
that. Mhm.
or the local vet center,
Mhm.
you can find all the information to reach out on your own.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely. Reach
so
out
pretty
to the
easy.
coordinator, email them, um, ask your questions. And I think all of our folks are very good about getting back to those inquiries or making a phone call. So it's easy to get the information.
So let's talk about sort of the guitar learning process.
Mhm.
So I start with the program. Day one, I show up, and then what? I walk in. I'm approved, and what do I need to know? What should I know?
Okay.
What am I expecting?
Okay. We do provide practice guitars for all of the students. Every once in a while, there'll be a student who brings their own guitar. Maybe they borrowed one, or a family member had it, or maybe they had an old beater. They hadn't played in a long time. Excuse me.
There's a lot of beater
Allergies.
guitars out there. Trust me, I know.
There are. But we do provide the loaner guitars as well as some accessories. So, in day one, I'm an instructor also, so I can speak to this.
I'm
very happy
figured,
to meet with our student, and it's a little bit of just kind of getting to know each other. We explain again the program and some of the expectations, attendance policy, and so forth. And one of the first things I like to do is ask the student what their favorite genre of music is. If there is a song or two that they would really like to learn, then we kind of go from there. And most of our students really have, I would say most do not have musical experience or have not played a guitar before. So we look at the guitar,
come out with
we
like
hold it.
Stairway to Heaven and hey, I want to start with that one.
Yeah, we've had some challenging wish
that's a tougher
songs.
one. Yeah.
So, maybe in time you could certainly learn to play that, but we really have to start with the fundamentals and the basics. And part of it is just learning the parts of the guitar, learning how to hold the guitar, good posture, good hand position. All of those things are so important. And we reinforce every lesson, as well as how to use a tuner. We provide little clip-on tuners, but most everyone has a smartphone, and there are some great tuners on a smartphone. So that's another option for our folks. And we cover a lot that first lesson. If we have time, we'll start with maybe one basic chord. I like to start with E minor. It's a very simple one. And then week by week, we'll give them practice. A little homework to do. We expect them to practice during the week. And if we have any handouts, that they will have read those. And then we try to build upon that, add another chord. And if my student has a particular song or two they do want to try to learn, if I can break it down into 3 easy chords, if they can learn those 3 chords, the 1, the 4, and the 5 chord, once they realize how many songs they can play with 3 chords, it's like this light bulb goes off.
Yeah, if you can do 4 chords, you can play like 80% of the popular music.
There you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they had no idea, like, oh my gosh, really? So they get very excited about that too.
So do you need to know musical theory or how to read music in order to go through these lessons?
No, I think most guitarists don't know how to read standard notation. No, they don't need to.
That's very true.
I do, because I also play piano, but I'm one of those. No, they don't need to. We do like to teach them tablature, because there's so much music that's written in tablature for guitar. So that's another thing we can offer them. There's just so much. It really depends on the student. Some catch on quickly, some take a little bit longer to learn. Everyone is in a very different place when they begin. So
what are some of the stories, as you've taught lessons, you've talked to a lot of people in the organization, you've been around it a long time. What are some of the takeaways, the bigger lessons that you've seen that veterans have gotten by working with Guitars for Vets?
Lessons they have gotten.
Like success stories or where something has changed. Because I know when I started playing guitar, I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I decided, I'm going to learn this. I had made all my kids take various music, guitar or piano or drums or something. And they said, Dad, how come we have to play something and you don't play anything? And I told them, I said, look, I play the bagpipes. And that worked for like 6 months. And they realized that I wasn't telling the truth. And so I said, okay, I'll start learning guitar. And my son was great lessons. And I learned a lot, and I thought it was actually the chords, because that looks like the hardest part. It really does to me before I started playing, and I thought that's going to be the hard part. And I studied and I played with them, and then I realized, no, that's actually the easy part. Once you know them and you got the muscle memory, it's the strumming part gets me every time, because it changes and it's much different. And that's really how you make a lot of those great songs
Yeah.
really, really sound good. But I
Mhm.
also learned a lot about
Mhm.
myself about how to get through some of this when it's so challenging.
Yeah.
But you can really focus and you'll spend hours just doing guitar stuff.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. There's so many stories, and I think for most of them, at least the students that I have worked with or have had a chance to meet and speak to, um, of course, learning the chords is very challenging, and being
Mhm.
able to move your fingers from one chord to the next, it's a very slow process. And I remember learning when I was just trying to get my fingers on the right strings and the right
Mhm.
fret, and then, okay, now I'm here. Oh, I got to move from G to D. Ah. And I can remember asking my guitar teacher at that time, and I was maybe 4 or 5 months into it. I said, honestly, how long does it take to be able to change chords quickly? And he said, yeah, on average, about a year, really. And I thought, oh my gosh. So it's a big accomplishment. And at the end of that 10 lessons, when a student can change the chords pretty easily, there is such a sense of accomplishment,
Mhm.
and they're really focused on it. And I've had any number, tell me, well, the practice, sometimes I've got to make myself practice. I have to make myself do it. But when they sit down and they're holding the guitar and they're so focused and they're really concentrated on what they're doing, and they're imagining, oh, I'm going to be able to play this song. I just have to keep moving my hand
Mhm.
and keep working on it, and pretty soon there it is. They can play that song by the end of the 10 lessons, and that's a huge accomplishment for them.
Oh, it is. It's so neat when you can all of
Yeah,
a sudden 2 or 3 chords, maybe even
yeah,
4, and you can play like entire books of
mhm,
songs because
yeah,
it's not many more chords than needed. Like if you've got 2 or 3 chords, you
mhm.
can play a ton of songs, like really popular songs.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
oh, yeah.
and I was really surprised at that because it sounds like guitar, and of course, acoustic's different than the electric, and the
Mhm,
techniques are slightly different,
mhm.
but the basics are the same.
The basics are the same. Those fundamentals are the same no matter what you're playing. Yeah,
I do remember
for
sitting
sure.
there and just watching TV and practicing changing chords just back and forth without even strumming. Just like,
Mhm,
okay, I
mhm.
can do that, and while watching a show with my wife or something, and I'm not like
Exactly, yeah. You're just
it was
building that muscle memory.
absolutely.
You
So
don't even
you
have to
guys
strum it. Just move your fingers.
So I know you cover the middle Atlantic area, so that's like Virginia down to Florida. But where is Guitar for Vets? If anybody's listening across the country.
We are headquartered in Kenosha, Wisconsin, so
Hmm.
it's the greater Milwaukee area. We have chapters from Honolulu to San Juan, Puerto Rico, from Maine to Texas. We have 138 active chapters right now.
Wow,
We just brought 3 more on since January, and the goal is to maybe increase it to about 170 chapters by the end of the year. That would
that's
be
awesome.
tremendous growth. And we have a lot of inquiry from many folks out there who would like to start a new chapter. So we are in growth mode.
So you go to these 10 lessons, they're once a
Mhm.
week. So we're talking about 2.5, 3 months, I guess. I guess
Mhm.
right after a little more than three months. And where does that guitar come from? So you have some loaners
Mhm.
to learn from. Is that a new guitar just for you, or is that one of the like how does that work?
The award guitar,
Hmm.
yes, through relationships we have with different music manufacturers. Um, Right now, we are offering the Yamaha FG 800
Hmm.
as the award guitar, and it changes. It just depends
Yeah,
on pricing, on discounts, on relationships with manufacturers.
yeah.
We
Guitars are
also have
expensive.
they are they are, and that also includes a nice gig bag and accessories.
Nice.
So guitar stand, capo, tuners,
Oh wow,
polishing
everything you
cloth,
need.
it's everything that you could need. Yeah.
So how many people on average that start out with Guitars for Vets finish that 10 weeks? Is
I
it
can't
most,
give you, I
half?
would say it's most.
Okay.
Oh, definitely more than half. I would say it's most. Certainly, there are some folks who drop for
Sure.
various reasons. Some people begin and have a change of heart. They realize this is really hard. Maybe I've bitten off more than I can chew. They might have to drop for an illness or a surgery. They might be out for a
Scheduling.
few months,
Yeah.
scheduling, any number of reasons. But if someone needs to drop for whatever reason, there's no shame in that. You're always welcome to come back at a later date, maybe when life is a little easier or they're feeling better, and they can always pick up and start again.
Yeah, it's always amazing with, like anytime you have a lot of people, there's going to be a lot of things. People are busy. People have a
Sure,
lot of
sure.
challenges in their life. But yeah, going to guitar lessons or any music lesson, if you don't have mom and dad standing over you to go, hey,
Mhm.
you need to be there. And it's a lot harder. It was a
Yeah,
lot harder for
yeah.
me. And it's only because my other son had a lesson at the same time that it worked out. But yeah, I don't know if I would have gone as frequently if it was just me at the same time.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
since I was pushing them to go, I was there anyway, so it just worked out.
yeah.
So you've been around for many years. 2007, they met, they started doing this. They met up at the VA,
Mhm,
and so we're in 2024. And I don't like to do math in public, but that's like more than 15 years.
mhm. It is. Yeah,
Gosh,
it's
that's a
almost
long
17
time.
years. It is. Um, I brought the Richmond chapter. I opened it here in January of 2011,
Mhm.
and I think we were maybe the 22nd or the 23rd chapter. There weren't many of us. So yeah, it has grown substantially.
So I've asked you a bunch
Mhm,
about Guitars for Vets. I'm
mhm.
sure there's something that I should have asked you about, but didn't.
We do have an initiative right now looking for additional instructors. We're always in need of instructors, in particular the cyber chapter. We've had so many inquiries. And again, these are veterans who are out in maybe more remote or rural areas, and there is no chapter close to them, but they can get that referral from a medical care provider or a social worker. Uh, they
So what
really,
is the criteria to be an instructor?
to be an instructor, you don't have to be a professional guitarist. You don't have to be a guitar teacher as such, employed as one. Just have a love of guitar, so I know how to play.
I
And I
suppose
think
that would be important. Yeah.
we get inquiries about that. This would not be the first time I'm talking about this, but certainly be proficient.
Sure.
And we have some students who come in and maybe they have a little bit of experience. And of course, most of them do not. They've never played before. One of the things we especially look for is a good fit with the
Yeah.
organization. And we have what we call our PAGE model, PAGE,
Hmm.
patience, acceptance, gratitude, and empathy. Not every guitar player or guitar teacher is necessarily a good fit for working with a veteran. This is a very special group of people that we work with, and some of them have, a lot of issues and things they're struggling with. So,
That's very true. And like I've learned
mhm,
myself, not every guitar teacher, no matter how skilled they are at playing the guitar, is very
yeah,
good at teaching you how to do that.
yeah.
That was
It's,
something
it's,
I took me to a couple of people to figure out.
yeah, yeah. It takes a lot of patience. It does take understanding and empathy.
Hmm.
My most recent student, female student, a little bit younger than I am, and she had tried guitar before, and it just didn't take. And I think she was frustrated with that. And then her social worker at the VA Medical Center mentioned guitars for vets, which she had not heard of before. So she says, "Well, maybe I'll try it again." And her therapist really encouraged her and said, "I think this would be a good opportunity for you." So, we met and she was very soft spoken and she kind of shared with me that she had tried before. And, as we worked together, she started opening up a little bit more to me, and she confided in me and said, I really have a hard time remembering things. And she said, and I know you showed me how to do the E minor chord, and you gave me a diagram, and I know we really worked on it last week, and I think I remember it. And then I go home to practice, and I just can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
And, we kind of really worked hard with that. And there was a song she wanted to learn, and I printed out all the lyrics and the chords, and I thought, oh my, this is going to be hard for you. I said, can you think of another one that you might like to learn? And this was around Christmas time. So
Mm-hmm.
we worked on Silent Night and then Amazing Grace, very simple, 3-chord songs. And, she kept working at it, though. She came back every week. So I think we had a rapport going. I think she enjoyed that time together, and she would share a little bit more with me. And then towards the last few lessons, she sang. She has a beautiful voice. So she really wants to be able to play, accompany herself, and be able to sing.
Mm-hmm.
So that was just so heartwarming to me. It was just kind of this very intimate sharing, and just to hear
Sort of
her
give her
singing.
a way to express herself in a
Yeah,
different way.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I love
So
those stories. I love those, hey, here's a way to get to where you want to be without
mhm,
really having to risk a lot.
mhm,
It's you're out there, but it's a safe environment.
yeah, yeah.
And like I would forget things. I have a TBI, like I have memory issues, but I would put stickers under the strings, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's
There you go.
A minor." Like
Mhm,
every memory aid you can do until
exactly.
yeah, and then
Whatever it takes. So I've got another story from one of our other instructors, if we have
mhm.
time.
Yeah.
Harold Adams. He had a woman who had, I know she had some hand issues, and it might have been some arthritis or a hand injury. And I think she was really left-handed, but then needed to learn how to play right-handed.
Oh wow.
He struggled and he struggled and he struggled with her. And he said, I almost think she could do something with slide guitar.
Mm.
So he took, I think it was a hose, like a radiator. It was some part of a car, a hose, and he cut it just to make it fit her finger,
Like
and
a
showed
slide.
her how to use it like a slide. And it worked.
Boom.
It worked.
Isn't that
Open
amazing?
tuning. He showed her how to open tune, maybe to open G or open D, and use that slide. And then she could strum or just finger pick a little bit. And wow,
Hmm.
it made all the difference.
Yeah,
So
it
again,
is amazing.
another example of this instructor who was thinking outside the box instead of just getting
Mhm.
frustrated with the student or frustrated with the situation. What can I do? What more can I do to help her?
Yeah, meet them where they are instead of dragging them where that you want them.
Exactly. Exactly.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing. I met our local coordinator here. I was so impressed with the organization,
Mhm.
and I said, absolutely, I need to get you guys on, get you and learn more about you, and make sure everybody else knows about Guitars for Vets, because I know how much it has done for me, but also know that music is one of those healing things that can be individual, but it can also be in a group, and even little jam sessions with friends or playing Silent Night at Christmas or any of those things provide
Mhm.
a lot of opportunities that aren't there otherwise. So I'm really impressed with Guitars for Vets.
Yeah.
Folks, if you are at all interested, go look them up. It's guitar for the number or the spelling vets. It's easy to remember. We'll put a link in all the show notes and everything else and on the social media. So you don't have to write it down if you're out driving somewhere or if you're listening to this podcast out somewhere. We'll put it in the show notes. You'll be able to click on it later. But hey, thank you so much for joining us on Coming Home Well. And I give you the last word. What's the most important thing to know about Guitars for Vets?
The most important thing. We
That you're
love our
there.
veterans.
Yeah.
We are here to work with you, to just embrace you, to give you an opportunity to enjoy music. And it is so healing. We hear this from all of our students.
That's absolutely wonderful. Peg, thank you so much for joining us on Coming
Thank
Home
you.
Well. And I appreciate everything you're doing with Guitars for Vets and all the other people associated with the organization. Thank you again for coming on Coming Home Well.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this week on Coming Home Well with Dr. Tyler Piron. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review. Thanks again. And until all are home and all are well, this is Coming Home Well.